here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pleasant, sunny Saturday. Pretty frigid temperatures, though, at the University of Pittsburgh and inside the Peterson Event Center this afternoon. The NC State Wolfpack are in town. The second meeting of the year between the Wolfpack and the Panthers. Kevin Keatts brings his team up to the Steel City for a little Saturday matinee in the ACC. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Evan Lepler. It's great to have you with us. Understandably, these are two frustrated basketball teams right now. Pittsburgh has dropped 6 in a row. If not for Braxton Beverly's buzzer beater, it would be a 5-game losing streak for the Wolfpack. But from the NC State perspective, hold on a second, things aren't that bad. They lost by 1 in overtime to a top 5 team. Last Saturday, the outlier of all outliers against Virginia Tech, and then they allowed the second most points in Wolfpack history to UNC. As we welcome in the legendary 3-time ACC Coach of the Year, Dave Odom. If you were Kevin Keatts, what would your message be coming into today?
Well, they're going through what the normal ACC teams go through in February, so don't panic. That's the first thing. Second thing is get some inside baskets, and I think if I were Kevin Keatts, I'd look to Torin Doran. I think he's their best inside player and one that is most likely to give you an opportunity to succeed in February.
From the Pittsburgh side of things, Xavier Johnson has been their most consistent scorer throughout the season. Double figures in 21 of his 23 games. He's the engine that makes him go.
Well, he is. He's fast, he's quick, he can score. But I think the thing that he does most for Jeff Capel's team is he leads them. They go to him in the clutch. He's a good defender. He's somebody that Coach Capel can count on.
They've been able to count on him every day. Trey McGowan's, on the other hand, they're looking to get him back into the groove that he was in earlier in the season. Our innovative play brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Get slam dunk savings today. Visit progressive.com. McGowan's had a great game against Louisville. How did he do it?
Well, he's such a prolific scorer. When he's feeling good, I think he's shaken. His confidence is shaken just a little bit now. But when he's on, he can really shoot the ball from 3. He can even get into the lane off the dribble. He's got good, quick turnover. He can go up and elevate outside of the lane, and he makes shots. Right now, though, Evan, his confidence is shaken.
McGowan's played a season-low 14 minutes on Tuesday at Wake Forest. They'll be counting on him more today. This arena really sparkles, and they've got a great crowd on hand. Of course, 4 weeks ago, these two teams met in Raleigh, North Carolina, in what was a wild game. Wyatt Walker was ejected 2 minutes in, and then Markel Johnson, coach, got hurt, and this was a game that went back and forth down to the wire.
Well, it's two teams that, as you said in the open, are struggling somewhat right now, but North Carolina State can correct that. They get some inside baskets, I think they'll be much better. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, is not only fighting 6 straight losses, they're fighting the fact that they've got some kids who are sick or injured and not going to be totally available today.
The battle of the boards is going to be so important today because it was so critical 4 weeks ago when NC State grabbed 21 offensive rebounds. It led to 24 second chance points, which was the difference in the game.
Well, it usually, whenever you're on a winning streak, then you are rebounding the ball and you're not turning it over. When you're on the losing streak, the opposite of those things are true. That has been true with State and, I think, Pitt over the long haul.
It's amazing how after all these years, basketball is that simple.
Well, it is simple, but it's not easy to get them to do what you want them to do. But passing and catching and footwork and I think decision-making is more important today in today's game than it ever has been.
Fans at the Zoo are getting ready for their Panthers to be introduced as you see Kevin Keatts, the second-year coach. And now this arena, which the student section was full about an hour ago, and they're ready to go for Pitt basketball.
Evan, I think also that's one of the real touchstones for Jeff Capel's team. Lost 6 games in a row, and the crowd is still here. The crowd was here, as you noted, an hour and a half before game time. They were here, it was noisy, it was rowdy. The Zoo is intact. Everybody's excited about it. This is an amazing arena.
When you look at what Jeff Capel has done, how has he generated this energy so quickly?
Well, he won early, and in winning early, you win your fans over. The question is, will they stick with you? They have stuck with him, and they stick with him because his team plays very, very hard. He also schedules smartly. I looked at his early schedule, his non-conference schedule. Nobody could have done that better, Evan. He was terrific in what he did there. They won games early, they won fans over, and consequently, you've got a full arena here in February on a cold day after losing 6 games in a row.
Pittsburgh needs a win today to stay above 500 for the season. They enter at 12-11, having lost 6 in a row. NC State no longer in the top 25, but sitting at 16-7. A critical game for the Wolfpack if they're going to stay on the right side of the bubble.
You know, you and I went in and met with both coaches individually before the game. I was particularly impressed with Kevin Keats' relaxed demeanor. I mean, he was sitting in there, he's still drawing up a play on a chalkboard, even as late as, 10, 15 minutes before game time. But I was really impressed with him. He is unruffled by the fact that they have not played the kind of basketball that they played early on. He feels they can get back to it.
I think both these coaches carry a confidence about them that can infect their teammates in a positive way. The Wolfpack trying to sweep the season series over the Pitt Panthers and win their 8th in a row against Pittsburgh. Panthers in their very first ACC game joining the conference January 4, 2014. They beat NC State. They have not beaten the Pack since. Lamar Patterson was the author of the win that day.
Well, they shot the ball pretty well from the outside, and it was a game that I feel like Jeff Capel feels like they could have won. But, when you go back to Pittsburgh, when Jamie Dixon was the head coach here, they were winning against State and everybody else on a regular basis. It was a Big East mentality playing in the ACC that just carried over.
Starting lineups today are brought to you by Food Lion. Dorn, Beverly, Johnson, Price, and Walker, which means Daniels, who started 13 games, comes off the bench today. Johnson, McGowan's, and Deere, after his big 15-point performance, makes his first start of the year with Wilson Frame and Terrell Brown, the big man, who's back in the lineup for the 10th straight game. Fans are rowdy and ready to go here in the zoo.
I really think this is going to be a big game for both teams. I think both teams are going to play extremely hard. I think you'll see some zone out of Pitt. Pitt's going to try to, try to corral some energy so that they'll be able to play for 40 minutes or more if it takes that. North Carolina State, on the other hand, is going to want to go up and down as fast as they can. What
has the impact of these fans meant over the past couple decades? Only 5 programs in the nation have more home wins since 2002. Can Pittsburgh get off the schneid and pick up their 251st win at the Pete since 02 today? We'll find out over the next couple of hours. The uncharacteristic wearing your black jerseys on your home floor. Pittsburgh in black, NC State in the gray. Walker and Brown to jump it up. Les Jones flips it up, Brown wins the tip, and we're off from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Man to man.
On the drive down the lane, and Deere unable to convert.
Tough shot, shooting a left-handed shot, driving on his right hand. Tough for him.
We got Johnson versus Johnson, Markell versus Xavier. Of course, it was against Pittsburgh where Markell Johnson got hurt as Beverly's drive won't fall. Trey McGowan's pulls up, banks it in.
Well, I'm not sure that's what he practiced yesterday. I saw him for a half an hour shoot baskets. I never saw him shoot a three from that banked in from outside, but I'm sure he'll take it.
No matter how it falls, it still counts. Markell unable to answer. Rebound, Wilson Frame. There are very few empty seats in the crowd here, and that's not legal. Jared Wilson Frame turns it over.
Markell Johnson closed quickly on that Wilson Frame jump shot.
McGowan's. I don't think he was trying to bank it in.
No, he's not going to do it.
Here's Bryce from the elbow. Off the bracket, Beverly to Walker, back to Bryce. Fresh 30 for the Wolfpack. And Walker didn't get away with a push-off.
Evan, you can tell that North Carolina State is not comfortable getting the ball inside to Walker. As soon as he catches it, he's looking to throw the ball back out. He's not looking to score if the ball's in there. That's a problem for them from a lot of angles.
Coach, you've talked incessantly about how important it is for the Wolfpack to get it inside. But it's a little odd when they've got a couple big guys who aren't true post-up players. And as you said in the open, and I agree, Dorn might be their best interior player. On the drive, everything but the bucket. McGowan's shot spins out. Ahead of the pack, there's Dorn inside for two.
Well, I think overall, I might get some pushback on this, but overall, I think he's their best player, both on the offensive, defensive, on both boards. Leadership-wise, I just think he's really, really good.
Ball found Brown. He missed the bunny.
Yeah, being able to finish is such a real advantage. Right now, Pitt doesn't have anybody that can finish inside. Brown is one that can catch the ball, but he'll end up getting the ball back out.
Shot clock now at 10 as Endear barrels to the rim, counted, and the foul.
Now, there's a situation where the ball didn't go inside off the pass. It went off the dribble, which is just as effective in many cases. It caused Walker to rotate over, and that's the reason he got the foul, but it wasn't on his man. So one of the real things that North Carolina State has to do is to keep their men on the perimeter off the dribble.
Wyatt Walker just picked up his second personal foul. Consequently, he's on the bench. Endear converts the three-point play. Kevin Keats trailing by 4, nearly 3 minutes in. Bryce. That's a 3 for Bryce. No goaltending. It was very close. That's the bounce the Wolfpack have not gotten lately.
No, and when they put the kind of pressure that they've been putting in games early in the season on those guards, they do a much better job of controlling their play.
Xavier Johnson running the offense for the Panthers. We welcome those of you who just watched the North Carolina Tar Heels knock off the Miami Hurricanes in overtime, 88-85, behind Kobe White's 33 points. Tar Heels get the win. We welcome you inside the Peterson Event Center, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Evan Lepler with Coach Dave Odom. Panthers have a new school 3 and an old-fashioned 3, and lead by 1, 3.5 minutes in.
Well, I don't think we're going to get one of those atypical games where one team scores 24, but they are trying to get the ball inside via the drive right now. Again, we go back, we recap, North Carolina State does not have anybody to throw the ball inside to unless it's Dorn, and he's kind of a mid-range player. He plays well at about 15 feet, but I think if they posted him up and got the ball into him, I think he would not only get fouled a little bit, I think he'd make some inside baskets.
A week ago, NC State only had 2 points about 11 minutes into the game. So considering they've got 6 with 16:27 to go, we're in good shape.
That was one of those games that every ACC fan that was watching it sat there with his mouth wide open saying, what's going on here?
That was me courtside, Coach. But the Wolfpack take their first lead, 7-6. This Pittsburgh team has been shorthanded through much of the season, but today, Malik Ellison is not expected to play. Got banged up late in the game against Wake Forest. Also, 2 guys in Audis Tony and Kenneth Trubuka missed portions of practice the past couple days. So their status today, they are expected to play, but we'll see how they fare from a health standpoint. Shot clock at 5. And that's an offensive foul on Terrell Brown.
Really good rotation out of the Wolfpack that time. They came in a pick and roll at the top. They spaced over, they moved. Pittsburgh did a good job of rotating the ball, but the defense was there and ready for them.
So the first foul on Brown. If you joined us late, Wyatt Walker out with 2 quick fouls for NC State. Pittsburgh settles back into his zone. Wolfpack have not shot the ball great lately, obviously. Markel Johnson zings it inside. Funderburk swatted, gets it back. Shot clock winding down. They're going to count the basket. What a play by Funderburk. 7-0 run for the Pack. And an official's timeout. We want to alert our Raycom Sports affiliates. The next commercial position will be position number 1. Just underway in Pittsburgh. 3-point game.
They're working on that. Funderburk just had the ball inside, did a nice job on the last play. And for Pitt, they don't want to get into a track meet with North Carolina State. That would be advantageous. Wolfpack, they've got to keep the control of the tempo.
Full court pressure here. The Wolfpack bench has been one of the stories of the season for NC State. And against Pittsburgh 4 weeks ago, the bench had over 50 points as Jared Wilson frame traveled. Officials today, Brian O'Connell, Sean Hull, and Les Jones.
Well, that's one of those situations where the Wolfpack got the Panthers playing faster than they really needed to be. They had broken the press. They should have just brought the ball back outside and set it up. 2-3 zone for the Panthers.
Johnson to the basket, draws the foul, and it's going on Xavier Johnson. That's his first.
That play was made possible because they skipped the ball all the way from the left baseline out to the right wing. That's a double transfer for the teams in a zone. They can shift one man, but it's hard to shift 2 like that. And when you're looking at a guy like Markel Johnson, who has speed, he has quickness, he can get into the lane. He got fouled.
Saw the opening there. Johnson went right through it, picked up the foul on his namesake.
And that's one of the ways that you can create inside baskets. Now, if he'd have made that and shooting a free throw, that's all the better.
1 of 2 for Markel. Eric Lockett into the game for NC State for the first time. Here comes McGowan. He joined us late. Trey banked in a 3 to get the scoring started. Here's Terrell Brown doing work on the block. Loose ball collected by Lockett. He's swatted by Brown. Terrell Brown 3rd in the ACC in blocks per game, showing why. And there's the second traveling violation in the last 3 trips for the Panthers.
That's the second time that's happened, one on one side of the court and one on the other. Panthers are in too big a hurry to go nowhere. Need to take their time. They can get inside baskets. Brown gives them a good strong body there. He's just got to be more confident.
Brown went scoreless in 3 of his last 4 games, including last Tuesday against Wake. Fouls on Pittsburgh.
They threw the ball into Helms that time. You've got to be able to figure out when you've got it, quote unquote, and when you don't. And that time, the defense closed quickly on Helms. He should have just caught the ball, not tried to dribble it, and got the ball back out.
And Coach Trey McGowan just picked up his 2nd foul, so Cameron Davis checks in for him, and now City and Deers back in for Xavier Johnson. It's a Pittsburgh team that can't really afford serious foul trouble.
All of a sudden, they're testing them from a depth transfer standpoint.
Lockett lost his shoe as well. Picks up the sneaker as he runs down the floor. Still got the shoe in his hand as he slides around. Can Endear capitalize? past the guy with a shoe in his hand, and he missed the layup. Finally, Lockett will try to get that sneaker back on. Almost would have wanted him to give the foul there. 3 ball won't fall for Dorn. Beg your pardon, Thunderbird. Another offensive rebound, though. Helms tracks it down.
Long shots bring long rebounds, Evan.
That's the 6th offensive rebound. It's where they killed Pitt earlier this season. Braxton Beverly has already had a better day today than he had last Saturday at PNC Arena.
When you look back at the stat sheet, you look back and you look at the number of offensive rebounds you got and the additional shots you got. You don't have to shoot quite as good a percentage.
7 minutes into the first half. Again, you don't want to overstate it, but it feels like a really important game for both teams as Davis pops wide to the left. Daniels the rebound. NC State, they've had a tough stretch, but they're in a position to be an NCAA tournament team as long as you don't lose on the road today to a Pittsburgh team that's really struggling. On the other hand, Pittsburgh feels like they've got an opportunity against a struggling NC State team to turn their season around, and their schedule the next 4 weeks much easier than the schedule the last 4 weeks as Jericho Helms spins one home to make it a 6-point game.
Evan, look at the lineups for both teams out there. You've got a lot of substitutes on both teams. Now, the difference is Pittsburgh is playing their subs because they have to. North Carolina State playing them because they want to. It's a big difference.
Kevin Keats has gone 9-10 deep much of the season. Tough shot, Jared Wilson, frame connects.
He's one of their very best three-point shooters.
NC State gets it down the floor, gets a good look, but met at the rim. Endear to Brown, back outside Tony, and the Panthers calm down.
You gotta like stopping, getting yourselves under composure, use everybody.
There's 3 more. Terrell Brown with just his 2nd 3 of the year.
Brown says, who needs inside baskets when I can shoot threes?
Panthers are 3 for 4 from downtown. Daniels. And there's a foul on the rebound action on Pittsburgh. It'll stay with State, but man, it's amazing how quickly a 6-point gap disappeared. First, Jared Wilson frame, their leading 3-point shooter, and then a guy who hardly ever shoots threes, Terrell Brown knocks it down.
ACC Basketball is being brought to you by Food Lion, official supermarket of the ACC. By New York Life. With the right guidance, everyone can be good at life. By Coyote Tractor. And by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Welcome back to Pittsburgh. A sunny Saturday, pretty frigid outside. Plenty of energy inside the Peterson Event Center. And so far, Coach Odom, pretty similar to the last meeting between these two teams in that Pittsburgh is shooting a higher percentage, but offensive rebounds and second chance points are keeping the Wolfpack in it.
Long shots bring long rebounds. We know that. Now, how do you stop that? Well, if you're guarding a guy who takes the long 3-point shot, you need to run to him first. And what's happening is that the Pittsburgh team is running to the glass to try to rebound. The ball's coming out over their heads. Must block out. You must make contact with the shooter and others who are on the perimeter.
Before the break, they called Terrell Brown for his 2nd foul, and now his replacement, Kennechu Buka, picks up a foul. That's 6 fouls called on Pittsburgh so far. Just 2 fouls on NC State. Dorn, Davis blocked. Davis got a piece of it. 22 to shoot, though, for the Pack.
I still hold to he is their best inside player. I think he got it in a position on the court that was not to his advantage.
Markell kicks it. Beverly uses the Helm screen. Pretty good hedge, though. With 6 to shoot, double comes, pass deflected and stolen. And Deere the other way to Johnson for 3.
Nice basketball. It penetrated as quickly as they possibly could. Knew he had no shot. He threw the ball back out. Johnson delivered the 3.
9-0 run in the last 90 seconds. Game of runs so far as Helms answers for 2.
Helms an interesting player. He's not one that they count on for 20, 25 minutes a game, but he comes in, he gives them a shot here and there, rebounds the ball and plays good defense.
About a quarter of the way into this basketball game. Nothing decided yet, obviously. Xavier Johnson trying to attack downhill. And there's the drive in and out for Davis. NC State ball.
We've got some good penetration. It's a good stop there, but another turnover and too many turnovers by both teams so far this early in the game.
Xavier Johnson, 40% from beyond the arc this year. One of the reasons he's averaging 17 points a game. He's 4th in the ACC in scoring in conference games. Helms, the guy who looks for his offense, kicks it to Bryce. There's 3 for C.J. Bryce, the Wilmington transfer.
C.J. Bryce has been a real stalwart for them. He knows the Kevin Keats way.
Sure does. It's amazing, Coach. These teams are pretty similar in how they want to attack, because they both want to get it inside, but they both get it inside with their guards.
Yeah, because they don't have a post man that can hold the post. They can run one in, but he always runs out.
They don't have a Tim Duncan, basically.
Well, who does?
That's fair,
I
too.
did.
You were very lucky.
I
in
was.
a league of your own. We're talking with Coach Jeff Capel, who is the same year as Tim Duncan. Jeff, of course, obviously at Duke, Tim at Wake Forest, where you were the head coach for more than a decade. And you had Jeff Capel's number pretty good.
Well, he said that, I didn't. But I had a great time talking to Jeff before the game about the old ACC days.
Coach Jeff Capel was a Final Four participant as a freshman when he had senior and Grant Hill on his team. There's Thorne on the end line, nullifies what would have been the 10th offensive rebound for the Pack.
Yeah, but I have never seen a year in which so many players step out of bounds on the baseline or on the sides.
Why do you think that is?
I think they just lose. There's so much.
Xavier Johnson exploding to the basket.
Oh my, that was pure speed on speed. But going back to that point, I think there's so much emphasis on spacing to the perimeter. They just lose sight of where they should be and where they are.
Xavier Johnson scored the last 7 for Pitt. Beverly back rims a 3. Wilson Frame secures the rebound. They got an offensive foul on Chukwuka, and that's his 2nd personal.
Well, there's no reason for that. I mean, just be still, set the screen, and be still.
Xavier Johnson, you mentioned early on that he's both fast and quick.
Fast and quick, and he has a presence around the rim as well. Not only he can get in there, but I think he has the ability to make good decision, Evan. That is the decision to either shoot or get the ball back out. In that case, he knew he was open.
Rice lost it. Turnover number 4 for the Pack. 1-on-3. Xavier Johnson does not care.
I'll tell you what. The zoo is alive, and well they should be. I mean, it's an exciting basketball play, one after the other.
9 points for Xavier Johnson, and Markel Johnson quiets the crowd with a triple.
Markel Johnson knew what I was getting ready to say. It's a big possession for the Wolfpack. He delivered.
Panthers at this end of the floor have made 5 of their last 6 shots, largely because of Xavier Johnson. And this time it's A foul at NC State as Price and Chukwuka collided. How about the explosiveness of this freshman from Woodbridge, Virginia? Undeterred, fearless, 1-point game. To overtime before Kobe White, 33 points, helped the Tar Heels prevail 88-85. And how about Virginia Tech, number 11 in the country, but now back-to-back losses. No Justin Robinson. Meanwhile, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, our Coyote Tractor Player of the Week. 18 points per game last week, but today, Coach, he had 13 points, but just 3 of 14, and his role has changed without Justin Robinson. Today he had no assists and 5 turnovers, and they're counting on him to be the playmaker. They only scored 51 points on the road at Littlejohn.
Well, when you think about that game down in Littlejohn today, Clemson and Virginia Tech, I feel good for either team that won. Clemson because they've had so many difficult losses and they had a tough schedule. Virginia Tech because they are playing without Justin Robinson. So it was a good outcome down there for Clemson, tough for Virginia Tech.
See if the Hokies can bounce back. There's a great roll to the basket. Chukwuka lays it in.
Now Thunderbird got caught switching or sliding or hedging up on the top. Got no help inside. That was a gimme basket.
Excellent slip by Chukwuka and a good find. Pittsburgh's defense interior has been pretty good.
That was great penetration by Markel Johnson. Thunderbird was stationed underneath the defense. Now, here's one of my pet peeves. You get underneath like that, the guy with the ball, the offensive player, has more time than the defensive player has. He should pump fake, let the defense take themselves out because they don't have time. And you not only get fouled, but you get fouled after you made the basket, giving you a 3-point play.
DJ Thunderbird had a great game the last time these two teams met. Knocks down a pair at the line. He's really struggled lately, though, for Kevin Keats in the pack.
2-2-1 zone press just to take some time off the clock. Well done. Back into their man-to-man.
Kevin Keats has talked about that pressure may not be about getting the steal, it's about wearing the opponent down. Pretty good pass there, Johnson to Chukwuka, but he couldn't handle it. Wolfpack could retake the lead on this trip down the floor. Rice will take it, make it. Long 2.
The lingering question is, when there's body contact, the defense falls back like that. When do you fall down and give them the shot? Not that time.
And that question is going to linger forever. Interior to the corner. Tony. Rebound by Daniels. Wolfpack, you can just see, looking to push the pace. Markel Johnson, big shot.
You know, you got to pick him up when he crosses half court. I'm not saying you got to be chest to chest, but you got to make sure that you're on top of him.
That's a traveling violation. Xavier Johnson turns it over. That's Pittsburgh's 8th giveaway, and Jeff Capel displeased.
Well, it should be 8 giveaways in the first half. Far too many. That's a whole game. That's a 40-minute game for really good basketball teams. And you know, it all goes back to young players making good decisions. It didn't happen then. Xavier Johnson just took off into a lane. It was really a trap. Couldn't get out of it.
Wolfpack looking to build on what already is a 7-0 run. Markel Johnson off to a good start. 3 of 4, 9 points. I beg your pardon. 2 of 3, 7 points. Devin Daniels' shot rims out. Dorn has the offensive rebound, and he's fouled by Xavier Johnson, and now that's his 2nd personal foul. So that's 4 Panthers, Coach, that have 2.
Well, and that's to a team that can't stand even half that. Interesting thing, Torin Dorn is a smart player. I watched him on that particular play. The shot went up from the right wing. He immediately went to the left side, knowing that 75–80% of the shots that are missed are going to go off the backside.
He's got a nose for the ball, but
He does.
Short from the line there, only 64% free throw shooting this season.
He's always had trouble shooting the ball flat, even jump shots.
McGowan's unable to connect. McGowan's one of the 4 Panthers with 2 fouls apiece, and for the second straight Saturday, that's a pass that had no chance of being caught.
And yet another bad turnover because of bad decision making.
We got 5 minutes to play in this first half. McGowan's on the drive, no. And NC State's, I believe it was C.J. Bryce, had a foot on the line.
Don't tell me another step out of the bounds.
That was after the good defensive play.
That was.
Hard to bag him too much for that one.
That was a little bit different. It was.
Dorn takes a seat on the bench, and Braxton Beverly's going to come back in for Markel Johnson.
Okay, Markel Johnson goes out. Braxton Beverly comes in. That puts him at the point. A little bit different role for him.
Step back, Indeer. Offensive rebound, Tony.
Well, Tony edged. Who was that? Helms out. He edged him out. He just pushed him out, used his body to do that. More physical than Helms was in that particular time.
Helms, the first member of the pack with 2 fouls. Audis Tony, 17 points, 6 rebounds. One of his best games of the year at PNC Arena. Our coverage of ACC basketball once again today is being broadcast on AFN, the American Forces Network, and we welcome the men and women of the U.S. Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, and Marines stationed all around the world. We are so proud to have you with us here today.
You know, to me, to hear you read that, it's not just a read. I mean, it really is a feeling. I mean, those first responders, if you want to call them that, our servicemen around the world, we say a big thank you.
Absolutely. And hopefully they get to enjoy a good competitive ball game with Bryce unable to hit the 3. Audis Tony the rebound as Pittsburgh looks to tie with a 2 or take a lead with a 3. Wilson Frame, he usually prefers the 3.
Well played defensively.
Yes, indeed. McGowan's looking for daylight and none there at all.
There's nowhere to go.
Ahead of the pack, Bryce. Offensive foul. Nice job by City and Deere taking the hit.
Right now the defense is controlling both ends of the court. Wolfpack just caused a turnover and then they turn it over going back to a too many turnovers, too many bad decisions.
Second foul on C.J. Bryce.
Well, you know, it's clearly the defense is outside of the lane, outside of the circle. So
if he's fallen backwards before the contact, does that change the nature of the call in your mind?
It would be for me. I don't know. I'd be interested in talking to the officials about it.
Devin Daniels had his hands on Trey McGowan's. Reach-in foul takes us to a timeout on a pleasant but chilly day in the Steel City. 2-point game at the peak. 3:53 remaining first half in Pittsburgh. 29-27, Wolfpack leading by a pair. And now it's time for a message from CPI Security.
CPI Security is proud to be ACC Basketball's official security partner. For more information, go to our website at mycpi.com.
Great energy here at the Zoo. Pittsburgh has missed its last 4 shots, allowed the Wolfpack to retake the lead. Foul trouble, along with these numbers, are a critical factor. There's 7 guys in the game right now, Coach Odom. 4 for Pittsburgh and 3 for NC State that have 2 fouls apiece.
Take away the excess fouling and take away the excess turnovers, which you can't do. You got a great basketball game here between 2 teams that are somewhat desperate.
Do you feel like, would you attach the moniker, the overused moniker, must win for either of these teams today?
I do think that's overused. I don't think this game is a must win. I don't think it's a game that kills the season for Pitt or makes the season for North Carolina State. I really don't. Both teams are just trying to get better. They're positioning themselves. Remember, 1 month from now, we'll be coming off the ACC tournament. These teams will be different then. Both of them will be better.
1 month from now is the final Saturday of the regular season. Following week is the tournament, Selection Sunday, and then the madness begins. Beverly with the clock winding down, scoops it, no. And the ball tipped. Oh, stolen underneath by Lockett, and he'll spin it home off the glass.
Now, if you're Jeff Capel, you're just upset about that. You don't want to turn the ball back, turn it over right around their basket so they can just lay that thing. You don't want to turn it over, period. But certainly not around their basket.
If you're going to turn it over, do it at the other end of the floor. Throw it out of bounds so they don't have a live ball opportunity. McGowan's looking to attack, steps through. No, Lockett rebounds.
I know that's a newfangled move, but I'm not sure about that.
Johnson floats it to Daniels, off balance. Rebound McGowan's looking to push. Right at Beverly, banks it home. That one he was trying to bank in.
2 bank shots for him. I don't know what the odds are, but not likely. 31-31, we got a basketball game.
Our 5th tie of the first half.
I really enjoy watching these 2 young coaches. Young in their jobs, that is.
Beverly buries the 3.
Well, he's back at the 2 guard spot because we got Markel Johnson in. He's much more comfortable in there on the off.
McGowan barrels in, doing what he does best. Chance for a 3-point play.
Come on now, how can you not pick him up as he crosses half court? There was nobody on him until he got into the blue area there. And when you get there, he's 6'3", 6'4". He can go up into you. Doesn't need to worry about his jump shot. He gets all the way in. And there you got you got somebody taking him, picking him up in the lane there. My goodness. It's hard to defend anybody in the lane.
Kevin Keats had ambitions of recruiting Trey McGowan's, but he didn't have a scholarship for this year. He expected McGowan's to play another year at Hargrave Military Academy. Jeff Capel came in, sold him on playing college basketball this year. One of the reasons that he got him late. McGowan's wanted to play at this level, and he's found this opportunity. And Kevin Keats, I mean, coaches always have those ones that got away, right?
Well, no, you want to try to get those late, and we want to talk about this one and done idea as we get into it. But McGowan's, I think, is a player that he has the 2 30-point games early on, and he just kind of went in the tank. Those were like trap games.
Beverly pops and hits again. Braxton Beverly has rediscovered his stroke.
Players like Braxton Beverly are streaky on occasion, and right now he's in one of those quote-unquote good streaks where he's open. You better guard him, because I can tell you he never met a shot he didn't like.
McGowan's has rediscovered his streak as well, but Beverly the steal this time ahead. Markel Johnson to Dorn, patiently waits to get rejected by Chukwuka. Now filling the lane, Tony slams it in.
One bad play leads to a good one on the other end. The block shot off of Doran, a quick outlet, bad transition, basket.
Pittsburgh has blocked 5 NC State shots in the first half today.
They got the ball up the court as quickly as they possibly could, and it was finished. There was poor defensive transition by the Wolfpack on that play. You can't let them have open floor layups that way. Let's see if Doran can get the ball up first.
It's a 2-shot foul, but Dorn misses another free throw. Foul was on Tony, who got his first field goal on the slam. Coming up in the Hardy's halftime report, we'll take you around the ACC on a very busy Saturday. I don't know if you've heard, there's a pretty big game tonight between a couple teams ranked number 2 and number 3. I believe it's in Charlottesville, Virginia. Talk more about the Blue Devils and the Cavaliers. All that plus highlights and stats in the Hardy's halftime report. Dorn flummoxed. Pittsburgh ball.
Well, I'm looking at Dorn right now, Evan. He is totally and completely frustrated.
Les Jones has a foul on Pittsburgh, and Jeff Capel is beside himself. It's the third on Chukwuka, and Capel's in disbelief.
Well, I've got to say, I didn't see it. I don't know what happened there. We'll have to look at some sort of replay.
Chukwuka on the block on the right. They were certainly tangled up. You can see that let go, and now
I think it was the timing on the call that frustrated Jeff Capel as much as anything. It was kind of a late whistle, but you're right, they were tangled up. Now, who made the first tangle? I don't know.
That's always the impossible question. Who initiated the tangle? Funderburk, perfect 5 for 5 at the line here in this first half.
This has been a really, really good basketball game.
Jeff Capel takes a timeout as Funderburk hits again. 8 first half points for DJ Funderburk. He and Beverly and Bryce all have 8 for the Wolfpack. Trey McGowans, who had scored in single digits in their last 4 games, has 10 points to lead the way for Pittsburgh. NC State obviously lost a bunch of key players from last year, but they got 4 guys averaging double figures in ACC play. The bench scoring has dipped a little bit, but still one of the best benches in the country. And on the other side, Pittsburgh, they're good, coach, when they get to the free throw line a bunch. When Johnson and McGowans can play downhill and get into traffic. Pittsburgh's 8 for 8 from the free throw line in the first half today.
Well, that was one of the emphases yesterday in practice as I watched Jeff Capel as he went through the different schemes for both teams, was we've got to get to the free throw line. We don't have anybody that we can throw the ball inside to. So getting to the free throw line, 3 points, gives them a chance to set up a defense. Much better if they do that.
About an 18-second differential between the game and shot clock here. NC State should see it again, barring an offensive rebound, and Deere on the attack.
It's really a really fine move. He had him rocking back and forth, and then took it off his left hand. Another timeout. Kevin Keats takes his. I think we'll see one shot at the end.
39-38, Wolfpack lead. This is much more fun than last Saturday in Raleigh, I'll tell you that.
I wasn't in Raleigh last Saturday. 2 Saturdays ago.
2 Saturdays ago, the buzzer beater for Wolfpack fans. Last Saturday, it was 20-14 at the half, and NC State had their better offensive half in the first 20 minutes.
I go back to what I mentioned early on. You know, when you get your student body involved, there is enthusiasm and excitement that comes with youth, getting them into your building on a regular basis. I look around, they're sitting on people's legs and arms and shoulders, and everybody's high-fiving. You got a mixture of good donors sitting right next to me over here. Keeps looking at me like, can you put me on TV? I mean, it's a fun day. I mean, it really is.
This doesn't feel like an arena of a team that's lost 6 games in a row.
Last shot coming up, Evan.
Johnson almost lost it. Dorn with 5 seconds. Dorn finds Funderburk for the stuff. And the Wolfpack will take a 3-point lead to the break as DJ Funderburk scores in double figures in this first half today. Great job by Dorn creating that with the time running down.
It was, and Funderburk was ready to deliver the ball quickly. He opened himself up, and he was ready, went up, clearly dunked the basketball for the lead. 41-38 into Zoo.
Hardy's halftime report on the other side.
ACC basketball is being brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. By Hardee's. By Progressive Insurance. And by First Citizens Bank.
Welcome to the Hardee's halftime report. Try the new Angus thick burger melts at Hardee's because it tastes better. Riveting first half here at the Peterson Event Center in the Steel City, 41-38 on a busy day in the ACC. Earlier today, Miami was up 3 late. Luke May's 3 tied it. We'll look at more scores from around the league when we return. 3-point game here at the Peterson Event Center. NC State with a small lead on the road. Of course, earlier today, 3 points was the difference late until a little pick and pop for Luke May. That tied it, and then Coach Odom, Miami had a chance with Chris Likes in the final seconds.
Well, I don't know if Jim Larinaga would like that shot or not. You know, sometimes those guys like Likes, they like to make sure they take the game on their own shoulders. He might have been better off passing it or trying to get into the lane.
Kenny Williams, the big shot, and then the defensive stand in the final seconds. 88-85 is your final. Around the ACC, 11th ranked Virginia Tech lost their second straight game, falling at Clemson. Syracuse leads Boston College by a touchdown and a half, and 2 big games coming up later today. Hey everybody, Evan Lepler with the coach Dave Odom. Duke, Virginia tonight. Do you think Tony Bennett and the Cavaliers can even up that season series?
Well, his team is ready, there's no question, but Duke's ready as well. And Mike Krzyzewski knows what he's getting into up here at John Paul Jones Arena. It'll be a great game no matter who you're pulling for. You'll enjoy that one.
Duke has won 20 games for the 23rd straight year already. Tony Bennett has Virginia 20 wins for 8 consecutive seasons. That's going to be a fun one later tonight. And don't forget Louisville, Florida State, 2 ranked teams as well. We'll have the first half highlights from Pittsburgh when we return. Great ball game, 41-38 at the break. 41-38 at halftime. NC State trying to snap the 3-game skid. Pittsburgh hoping to snap a 6-game schneid. Xavier Johnson, 9 first half points in 11 minutes. He's playing well, 3 for 3 from the floor.
And as we said in the open, whenever they need it most, he's always the one to make it happen. Great ball handler, creative layup shooter, and a good 3-pointer.
Would have played more minutes if not for 2 fouls. One of 4 Panthers with multiple fouls in that first half. Pittsburgh taking a little out of the NC State book with the 18 fast break points.
Well, they are. I look at the stats, they're a little bit kind of confusing, and that's one of the things that kind of makes it that way. But I think you'll see North Carolina State come back and rectify that.
Wolfpack retaking the floor. Second half coming up. Second half at the Peterson Event Center is underway. Evan Lepler, Coach Dave Odom along with you. One of these teams is going to get a huge, perhaps momentum-changing victory 20 minutes from now. Maybe 25 minutes from now, if it's anything like what happened in Chapel Hill. There's Torin Dorn knocking down 3 to start the second half.
You never know what that's going to mean to that young man, but he went through a very difficult first half. Couldn't make free throws, couldn't make jumpers, couldn't make follow shots. That'll loosen him up.
Xavier Johnson did not miss in the first half. Inside, Terrell Brown, strong move.
Oh my, they went inside on the first play in the second half. I think that's a great sign for them.
Isn't that what you told Coach Capel he should do?
Well, I suggested, I didn't tell him anything yet. He asked me, I told
Braxton
him.
Beverly though for 3, and
right.
Suddenly the Wolfpack lead by 7.
Well, they are, but I don't, if I was the Panthers, I wouldn't panic. Go inside again, see what happens.
Beverly into double figures, 11 points. Trying to get it inside. Xavier Johnson's first miss. Beverly in transition. Pass was behind Markel. Here's C.J. Bryce, finds his territory and switches the foul line jumper.
I'm sorry, but I knew that timeout was coming in. I'm sorry.
You're a coach. You know what the coach is thinking. And Jeff Capel was like, we need to stop this. All of a sudden, it was a 3-point game. Now it's a 9-point game. 8-2 run for the Pack to start the second half. Time for Food Lion, who's on the floor to start the second half. Doran, Beverly, Johnson, Bryson, Walker. Johnson and McGowan's each had 2 fouls in the first half for Pittsburgh. So did Brown, for that matter. Terrell Brown got a quick layup inside, but it's been a couple threes, and the Wolfpack 3 for 3 from the floor to begin the second half for Kevin Keats.
Sometimes you give up baskets, and it's not that big a concern. Sometimes it's how you give them up and how quickly you give them up. That was the sequence that we just came through, that Jeff Capel looked at his team and said, we're giving up baskets too quickly. We got to get it changed.
Pretty good cut by McGowan's. Johnson found him, and free throws are coming as Wyatt Walker picks up his 3rd foul.
Now McGowan's is really very strong once he gets into the lane. I didn't realize that. I watched him work out yesterday. Everything was perimeter shooting, 1 dribble jump shot, but here he takes it in there with strength. I can only imagine what this young man's going to be like in a couple of years. He gets another 10, 12, 15 pounds on him. Continues to work on his skill. He's at a place where they really value skill work.
Wyatt Walker picked up 2 fouls in 3 minutes in the first half. Now for the game, he's got 3 fouls in 5 minutes. He's been a complete non-factor. McGowan's very involved. They need him to be more involved. Beverly double team, gets it to Funderburk, who finds Dorn. And then there's Bryce on the offensive glass, creates another possession. Beverly off the mark from 3.
Yeah, he shot that ball before he got it.
Pittsburgh is a team shooting 54%, but trailing by 8. On the offensive glass, it's Brown. The disparity in offensive rebounds, along with the turnovers, the reason for Pitt's deficit.
Trace that to the broken defense on the perimeter. He gets in there, throws up a would-be shot, and doesn't have any chance to make it, but they are able to offensive rebound and put it back.
Dorn pivoting back outside. Bryce cross court. It's Johnson, sets his feet. That was halfway down, wouldn't stay though. McGowan's and Xavier Johnson running the floor, and it's Markell who rips the basketball away. Little shake and bake. Markell Johnson missed it. C.J. Bryce on the glass will get himself to the line.
Wilson Frame on the backside was responsible for the block out. He went to the board instead of going to his man. Another offensive rebound.
Jeff Capel thought there was a foul at this other end of the floor, and he might have a case. Consequently, Xavier Johnson just picked up his 3rd foul after the offensive rebound.
Well, you know, this Euro step that all of these guys are working on right now, that move needs to be left in Europe.
What do you mean by that?
Well, they're stepping across their bodies right now, but what it does is it puts them off balance. They're not able to deliver it. And so keeping the ball in their arms that long, Markell Johnson went in there and tied him up. I think it was a good defensive play myself.
Couple free throws for C.J. Bryce. He's now in double figures for the 15th time this year. Xavier Johnson dribbled into pressure. Shot clock at 9 for McGowan's. Tried to get the pass to Brown. Great defense by Bryce, and that's the 3rd foul on McGowan's. Called for the trip.
You know, there's a fine line between leaving a guy in there and letting him find himself and gain his confidence, and in looking at him right now, Trey McGowan's right now is a frustrated soldier. He needs to come out of there. There's your substitution. Jeff Capel, great sub, I think. Needs to get over there, let him set down a little bit, have a coach go down and talk to him. He's not a playmaker. He is a finisher, either jump shot or lay it up. He's trying to make plays, no good.
Do you remember that speechless pose that Jeff Capel just gave us?
Wait, you know, silence sometimes says everything.
Braxton Beverly not silent at all this Saturday as he buries another three. He's got a Wolfpack high 14 points.
Pittsburgh's got to get control of the game once again.
Xavier Johnson rejected by C.J. Bryce.
Okay, I got a secret for the guards for Pittsburgh.
What you got?
As you break them down, they're not dying. They're going to continue to come after you. So you've got to get inside, understanding they're converging on you. And as they do that, there's somebody open, you got to find them. But they're trying to shoot when there's too much defensive arms around them. Take that shot.
Needed Davis to knock it down. He had 9 points on 3 threes in Raleigh. He's been quiet today. Bryce will take it and make it.
That was the kind of move that I was talking about. Torin Doran penetrated as far as he could, turned right around and came back. And Bryce made a basket. Xavier Johnson takes it all away. No help needed.
Xavier Johnson into double figures for the 22nd game this year. He's scored in single digits only twice.
Now the thing I notice is that both teams are still playing extremely hard.
Especially at the defensive end of the floor. You're absolutely right. Funderburk finds a little pocket against the zone, but it spins out on him. Tony the rebound, and Johnson brings it across. Xavier Johnson, short. It'll stay the same way. NC State has made 10 three-pointers in this game. Braxton Beverly's got 4. C.J. Bryce has 3. The Wolfpack lead is 12.
ACC basketball is being brought to you by Geico, saving people money for over 75 years. By Gatorade, win from within. By your Carolina Ford dealers. By Bojangles, it's bow time. And by CPI Security, official security partner of the ACC.
It's been a 16-7 run to start the second half. The Zoo is undeterred in their enthusiasm. Beverly and Bryce have 13 of the 16. And how about this? NC State with their first double-digit lead of ACC play here in the second half against Pittsburgh. Got 10 threes. Just their third time with double-digit threes in ACC play. They had 12 at Louisville. Also 11 threes in their come-from-behind win at Miami. How can Pittsburgh battle their way back?
Well, first of all, they got to solidify themselves on the defensive end of the court. You know, you let Braxton Beverly get a loose on 2 or 3 shots. That can't happen. Hit some more shots like that. Wilson Frame on the jumper. Just that kind of shot after the ball was worked around and changed sides of the court. That's the kind you want right there.
Dave, that was just the second field goal attempt for Wilson Frame. He's 2 for 2 from 3.
Well, maybe he needs to get more shots. That would be up.
That's the logical deduction for sure.
Xavier Johnson's got to take care of that. He's the playmaker.
Pretty good ball movement. Now the drive, Lockett unable to finish, gets his own rebound, battling inside. Brown may have gotten a piece of it, but it bounces to Bryce. And the Wolfpack go 0 for 3.
They did, but if you're Jeff Capel, you got to be worried about that.
On the drive, what a shot! City and Deer high off the glass.
And Deer's one of those players that he just cannot get enough basketball. I watched him yesterday. He stayed for an hour after practice, getting one of the coaches, Tim O'Toole, to work with him just as hard as he possibly could on all of his moves and his jumpers.
And Endear had some pointed words to the media after Pittsburgh's overtime loss to Wake Forest on Tuesday. Endear called it sickening. 3 won't fall for Helms, and Pittsburgh has scored the last 5 points. Looking to add to the run here. Wilson Frame takes it. Got it!
Well, now you're probably going to get a timeout on the other end. Maybe.
All of a sudden, it's a 4-point game. 10-0 Pittsburgh run. Lockett fell down. Pittsburgh unable to take advantage. This place has come alive, though. Looking high to Funderburk for the alley-oop stuff, and now a timeout from Kevin Keats.
Well, I was right. It was a little bit late on the timeout, but they got it in nonetheless.
Potentially a momentum-changing slam, but here's how Pittsburgh got back into this thing.
Well, when you shoot the ball well from outside, it opens up some of the inside baskets. Off the glass. Nice there, and again, Wilson Frame from the right-hand corner this time.
Wilson Frame has just been so active lately, shooting the ball for Pittsburgh. Take a look at our Bojangles fans of the game. We couldn't pick just one. The folks here at the zoo, I mean, literally an hour before tip-off, they were lively. They were shouting at Wolfpack players as they took the floor. They have created a legitimate atmosphere.
Well, if you're a basketball fan and you don't like this atmosphere, regardless of who you're playing for, I don't know what to tell you.
If the Panthers could keep it going, they've scored their last 3 trips down the floor. Make it 4 in a row.
He went right by C.J. Price. If you're Kevin Keats, you can't like that. He just took a timeout, and then you give up that play on the defensive end.
That's 9 points for City and Deer, the transfer from New Mexico State. Deflection in the backcourt. Tie up. Pittsburgh has the arrow.
You got to be stronger with the ball than that. Great defensive plays by the Panthers right now. Hit them in a double team. The one place you don't want to cross is in the corner. You got half court as a defender, sideline as a defender, and 2 defenders. You're guarded by 4 people.
Coaches teach that at a very young age. Don't get caught there.
Well, last time he goes right by C.J. Price. Let's see what happens.
Both Johnson and McGowan's are on the bench for Pittsburgh here.
Right now, you'd have to say that Pittsburgh's playing a little harder. And they needed to. They were down double digits. Trouble.
Pretty good look for Brown. He knocks it in. Wow. Terrell Brown had made 1 3 in 23 games. He's 2 for 2 from beyond the arc today.
This goes back to that timeout that Jeff Capel called. It was a 12-14-point lead. And if you're the Wolfpack, you don't want to take chances like that. That's not the way you secure the lead.
For the lead, it's good!
I'm not sure you won't see another timeout.
Jared Wilson Frame is perfect. 4 for 4 from 3. 61-59 Pittsburgh. Their first lead since it was 25-24. And it's an 18-2 run over the last 5 minutes. Dorn for the Wolfpack answers.
Well, it's nice to
pack the lead again.
It's nice to see him raise the level of his play after such an atrocious first half.
Wow, what a game this has been. 3/4 of the way into it.
Evan, I don't have bad games.
You say that all the time, and I'm starting to believe you. Markel Johnson, tough catch. Able to find Funderburk, and the Wolfpack will settle it down. In the short corner, with 11 to shoot, Dorn spins away. 10 minutes to go. Bryce buries it. Have we seen some shot making today or what?
I'll tell you what else we've seen. Some really impressive coaches working the sideline. I would have taken a timeout about two possessions ago. Kevin Keats showed considerable confidence in his team. Let him play through it.
18 points now for Bryce. 6 or 8 points from the Wolfpack since giving up an 18-2 run. And Deere was hit from behind and fouled by Johnson. NC State's largest lead was 14, but the outside shooting of Terrell Brown and Jared Wilson Frame have flipped the script. And we've got a 4-point game with 9.5 to play. We welcome you back into a lively Peterson Event Center. 65-61 is your score. And our updated stats are brought to you by Trilogy. Pittsburgh shooting 56% from the game. That's how they're still in it, despite the gap in offensive rebounds and bench points.
You know, would I be wrong to call this a sellout? I mean, there's a few seats up in each of the 4 corners, and that's it. And they're here, they're enjoying a good basketball game. You would never know that these two teams were not necessarily in the picture for the regular season championship, but both of these teams, you can say, are looking to make some headway in the ACC tournament. North Carolina State really has a bit of an advantage, and you know, their record is a little better. Their ACC record's a little bit better. They're in good shape. But I'll tell you, this Pitt team, I am very impressed with the job that Jeff Capel and his staff have done.
Markel Johnson left his feet, deflected out of bounds by Wilson Frame. Joe Giglio in the Raleigh News and Observer made a great point this past week about NC State's ranking. In the old RPI, they'd be around 130, but in the new NCAA net, they're around 32, 33. And that ranking, along with their 1 quadrant 1 win and their few quadrant 2 wins, have put them in a decent shape. Torin Dorn knocks it in. Today would be a quadrant 2 win if NC State could get it, which would make them 7-1 this year against quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. They're 1-6 against quadrant 1, the top teams they play in their schedule, but that just means they've lost to a lot of very good teams. Chance for a 3-point play, Xavier Johnson.
You know, basketball is not that hard. Defense is not really complicated. You know, you guard guys with the ball at 3-point line, and 4 guys have got to be inside, ready for the drive if it comes, supporting. And if you stay out on these guys, you're going to give up baskets like that. Now, that was a 3-point play the old-fashioned way.
There's a new school 3 from Braxton Beverly, his 5th of the game.
And that was a 3-point play the new-fashioned way. From outside, defensive transition.
70-66. Markel swatting at Xavier. Outside, it's Wilson Frame. He's been perfect offensively. 4 for 4, matching his number. All from 3. Clock winding down. Need to get a shot up, and they're not going to do it. The 14th Pittsburgh turnover. You got to find Braxton Beverly, though, in transition.
Well, you absolutely do. And, you know, if you don't, you're going to pay the price down to C.J. Bryce. They've got a number of guys that do that. Bryce can shoot the ball.
The season high 13 3-pointers for NC State, 25 attempts, 52% from beyond the arc. A steal. Ball finds Xavier Johnson. Going 1-on-3. Rejected. Thunderbolt. Followed by Tony.
If you never give up on a play, you never know what's going to happen. Tony just kept running. He was behind the play, seemingly not going to be a part of it. He kept going. The ball came back to him. He slammed it home for 2. The zone has slowed the tempo slightly.
Sure has. Deflected pass and a foul on Tony. It's going to be his second.
Yeah, C.J. Funderburk, very fortunate on that. Very fortunate.
7:16 to go. We got a 2-point game, and we're back after a word from your local ACC station. 7:16 on the clock in a 2-point game. Wolfpack 70, Panthers 68. You know our score, know your score, brought to you by Lending Tree. We go around the ACC. 11th ranked Virginia Tech falls by 8 at Clemson. North Carolina needed a late 3 to tie it against Miami and then prevailed in overtime. And it looks like it's all Syracuse at the Carrier Dome today. Jim Boeheim's squad up by 20. 20-point game there, 2-point game here.
Looking at the stat sheet, current stat sheet, both teams shooting over 50% from 3. That's amazing.
Pretty good.
North Carolina State has made their last 5 shots.
Markell sets up the deep 3. And another offensive rebound for NC State, but a steal. Audis Toney picked the pocket of Torin Dorn.
Got to feel the pressure and get it out of there somehow.
Inside, up and under. No. Brown missed it. The pass from Xavier Johnson took him a little too far under the rim.
Evan, one of the toughest things for big guys like Brown to do is to find where they are. They kind of lose track of where the basket is when they're inside like that, and everybody's slapping at it.
Funderburk was fouled.
Yeah, they bailed him out on that. There's no way he makes that shot. No way. He was off balance. The foul bailed him out.
The 4th personal foul on Trey McGowens. Yeah, you're right. He just stuck his hand in the cookie jar.
And I think part of that is youth.
That's the 4th team foul on Pittsburgh in the second half. NC State only has 3 team fouls against them. So there could be some fouls to give in important moments down the stretch. We'll see. Nice little tic-tac-toe passing, and Dorn fouled at the rim to the dismay of the Panther faithful.
It's an interesting lineup Kevin Keats has in there. Does not have either one of his big men. That would be Walker or Funderburk in there right now. So he's playing small. Helens is probably the biggest player he's got. They're going to have trouble rebounding the ball if it gets up there. Meantime, Jeff Capel is pleading his case on the last Torin Dorn drive.
It was the 3rd foul on Terrell Brown. So McGowens has 3. Johnson, Brown, and Chukwuka. And McGowens with 4, and then 3 other Panthers with 3 apiece. Wyatt Walker, the only member of the pack with more than 2. Wyatt Walker has been a non-factor. He played just 5 minutes.
C.J. Bryce has the most difficult job.
Jared Wilson frame goes inside the arc and ties it at 70.
Braxton Beverly let him get around him, rode his hip, but never tried to get in front and stop him. Jeff Capel sticks with his own.
What a game for Wilson frame. Our 7th tie is at 70 apiece with 5:20 to go. Helens to Dorn. Tough shot, puts it in. A guy who's 0 for 5 from the free throw line just made a clutch elbow jumper.
That was a courageous shot.
Follow from Toney wouldn't go. Tie-up will go back to NC State.
To even take the shot took a lot of courage, I thought. To make it shows a lot of chutzpah.
Torin Dorn always moving without the ball, finding that gap.
He is. Well, he's a senior, actually a 5th-year player. He transferred from Charlotte up to North Carolina State. He knows the game. He plays with great savvy.
Today's the 121st game of Torin Dorn's college basketball career. Beverly, no. Dorn, no. Pittsburgh ball. Brown the rebound, and he was fouled.
One thing you know about Braxton Beverly is that he is undeterred. I mean, missing that layup, it was kind of a creative, difficult layup. But he'll take it right back in there next time as well. I think he, Torin Dorn, Markel Johnson, they are the guts of the team.
Coach Bryce just picked up his 3rd foul. So he joins Walker in the 3-foul department. Eric Lockett back in. Beverly and Bright both to the NC State bench here.
You know, a player we haven't heard much from, and I wouldn't be surprised 4.5 minutes ago to hear his name, is Devin Daniels.
Right. He's been very quiet most of the game. And Deere has not been quiet, but missed that shot. Torin Dorn with his 7th rebound of the day. Daniels with a touch. He has not scored. 0 for 5 from the floor. Markel Johnson has 8 assists. Dorn going baseline, rejected. Another block for Terrell Brown. Jared Wilson frame to the basket.
Of course, he comes in labeled as the best 3-point shooter, but he also could drive the basketball. Good players can do that.
Wilson frame has 16 points on 6 shots. And a reach-in foul on Pittsburgh. It'll be NC State ball when we return. Terrell Brown, that's one of the 7 blocks for Pittsburgh today. Wilson frame ties it for the 8th time with 3:40 to go.
ACC basketball is being brought to you by Geico, saving people money for over 75 years. By Food Lion, official supermarket of the ACC. By your local Chevy dealers. And by Lending Tree, official loan shopping partner of the ACC.
We are tied at 72 with 3:40 to go here in Pittsburgh. Wolfpack have led by as many as 14. Pittsburgh's largest lead was 4 when the score was 6-2. About 2.5 minutes into the ball game.
Substitution for North Carolina State. Funderburk came in for Torin Dorn.
NC State a season-high 13 3-point field goals today. Markel Johnson knocks down another.
I'll get no credit for this, but I'm sitting here looking at the stat sheet and I'm saying Markel Johnson is not in double figures yet. It's Markel Johnson time.
That has been the second half of so many games this year and throughout Markel's NC State career. Terrell Brown goes to work on Funderburk. Left it short. Rebound pinballs, and it's controlled by Helms for the Pack.
Let's see if they stay in the zone. They have. I would guard Markel Johnson closely from here out.
Seems like a good plan. You don't want to leave Braxton Beverly open either. CJ Bryce is 4 for 5 from 3, too. Helm shot rimmed out. It'll stay with the Wolfpack, though. Fresh shot clock, 2:32 in the game clock.
Kevin Keats knows what he's doing. Helms inside against the size of Pittsburgh. I don't think it's to the advantage of the Wolfpack. Man to man.
And he switched it up. Wilson frame on Bryce. Through the Funderburk screen. Bryce to the corner for Beverly. Bryce, contested shot, rebound. City and Deere for Pittsburgh. To the open man, Wilson frame. His first miss of the day. Rebounded by Xavier Johnson, and he was tied up. Pittsburgh does have the possession arrow with 2:01 to go.
That's the only reason the roar of boos subsided. They do get the ball back.
Wilson frame had been 4 for 4 from 3 and 6 for 6 from the field before that shot. I imagine its confidence is undeterred. Xavier Johnson will go to the free throw line. Fouled by Funderburk. Free throw so important, Coach, down the stretch. The Panthers are 12 of 13 so far today. And in their lengthy losing streak, they have struggled from the line, shooting about 65% in the last 6 games compared to 73% in their first 17 games. Honda Dealers of the Carolinas, road to the tournament. NCAA net ranking at 35. Got a couple more chances against ranked teams. Really, Kevin Keatts, by and large, they've avoided, with the exception of the Wake Forest game, a really bad loss. They got to do that again today if they want to keep their tournament hopes alive and well.
And the pity of it is it's not a bad loss, but it will be viewed as that. There's no question about that. I mean, this is a team that's difficult to beat. Pittsburgh has been in virtually every game. Evan, one point I want to make before we get too far along here towards the end. I've always said that big men get you in the game and guards win it for you. To me, the next 2 minutes, it's a guards game.
That means C.J. Price and Markel Johnson and Braxton Beverly for NC State. City and Deer defending Johnson. Markel searching for space. Teardrop, no. Dorn on the back edge had the position. And the foul's on Aunties Tony.
Yeah, Tony had a chance to block him out when he was on the perimeter. He didn't do that. He let Torin Dorn get close to the basket on that baseline side, and thus you got the foul.
Third personal on Tony. 1-and-1 here for Dorn. Who's had a miserable day at the line.
Well, he's not a good free thrower to begin with. What is it, 64%?
He's 0 for 5 today.
He's got to lift the ball.
There you go.
He has a tendency to shoot the ball out first. All good shooters shoot up first and then out. Let's see what he does. He's got to lift the shot. Give it a chance. If it doesn't swish, it'll bounce and go in.
Obviously, it was an emotional game for Torrin in Chapel Hill, where his brother goes to school, where his father went to school on Tuesday. 1 for 2 this time for Dorn. Still a 1-possession game. Timeout, Pittsburgh.
Well, you know, Torin Dorn is one of the best defenders that the Wolfpack have. I don't know if it's time for them to go offense and defense or not, but on the offensive end, you don't want him fouled and going up there thinking about that again. There are, on the other side there, you've got Beverly, who is being shuttled in and out, Beverly Braxton. He's not allowed to play defense, so you've got him offense and defense on one end.
Well, Pittsburgh has lost its last 7 meetings against NC State. You got to go back to January of 2014. It was Pittsburgh's first ever game in the ACC. Lamar Patterson had 22, and the Panthers won inside PNC Arena in Raleigh. Pittsburgh, Coach, has never beaten NC State inside the Peterson Event Center, where we are today.
That in itself is amazing. You know, that you go back to that first game ever. The coach, at that time, Jamie Dixon, he probably walked out of there saying this ACC is a cinch.
Piece of cake,
no
right.
problem.
Compared to the old Big East, please. I think it's been a formidable challenge for the Pitt Panthers in a number of ways.
There's your screen.
Trying to get a huge home win today to snap a 6-game losing streak currently, but it's Markel Johnson the steal, and then he breaks away from Wilson Frame. He can't finish though, and the rebound for Xavier Johnson. Kevin Keatts couldn't believe there was no foul call. Neither could Markel Johnson, and now they got Markel with a bump in the backcourt.
All right, let's go back to the breakaway layup. Markel Johnson is not a strong player, and I think he was intimidated by the approaching defense. See, he was intimidated. If he put too much mustard on his play. Just going in for a straight layup is a foul there. It was a late call, but it was definitely a foul. He pushed him from the backside.
Under a minute now. Pittsburgh trails by 3.
Will they go for three or a quick two?
And Deere to the basket, kicks it. Xavier Johnson missed it. Rebound and Deere. But an 11-second differential between the game and shot clock. Terrell Brown. Another offensive rebound. Taking a page from the Wolfpack book. Jeff Capel calls the play. And Deere for three. They've had 3 good looks. They've missed them all. They're going to get a 4th try, and Lockett fouled Johnson.
Well, that was a great sequence, but it doesn't end that badly for the Wolfpack. They're fouling him. It's going to be a 2-shotter, but it's not that bad because it's as you know, it's a 3-point game. So the best they can do here is to get within 1. And North Carolina State does not have to shoot the ball. So the game really is going to come down to North Carolina State. If they don't turn it over, it's going to come down and then make it free throws.
1-and-1 here for Xavier Johnson, the 5th best free throw shooter in the ACC entering the day. Pittsburgh only has 17 fouls in the half, so the next 2, we see the Capel brothers looking as calm as ever.
Yeah.
NC State would have a 1-and-1. The next couple chances here, we'll see if Pittsburgh can extend the game.
Well, it'd be interesting to see who they throw the ball into first.
2 for 2 for Johnson. Makes it a 1-point game.
You got to get the ball into your best free throwers' hands as quickly as you can. They are most certainly going to foul.
NC State will use its penultimate timeout, leaving each team with 1 left. Earlier today, our Sling TV slinging it. Cameron Davis hitting Audi's Tony, filling the lane. You can watch college hoops on Sling TV for only $25 per month at slingtv.com. That was part of Pittsburgh's big comeback. So we got a 1-point game. The arrow belongs to the Pack. And the fact that it's 7 fouls instead of 10 means 1-and-1 instead of 2 shots, and that could be a factor here late.
It is a factor, Evan, no question about that. But now the first thing you got to do is get the ball in bounds. And remember now, Daniels is going to be taking the ball out. He's a good decision maker. He can move. He's not stationary. He's not locked in. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get the ball in Markel Johnson's hand. There is going to be a quick foul.
Into Bryce. Going for the steal. Now they got a foul. They trap. Time running off. 9.9 seconds remaining as 6-7 seconds ran off there. Wilson Frame picks up his 2nd.
Well, there was a lot of time that went off on that clock, and you know they had a chance to foul and save maybe 5 seconds to go. C.J. Bryce, he's a veteran player. He played at UNCW with Kevin Keats. He's got the 1-and-1. 72% free thrower.
Makes it a 2-point game. You know, C.J. Bryce relishes these opportunities. Like all transfers, Coach, who have to sit out a year, you just thirst for that opportunity. It was 601 days for C.J. Bryce between his last NCAA tournament game with UNC Wilmington and his debut this November with the Pack.
I'd be surprised if there's not a timeout, and there is.
All right, Pittsburgh trails by 3, virtually 10 seconds to go. Panthers are just one of their last 10 from the field. A sequence that's been amplified by offensive rebounds. Pittsburgh actually has a +1 advantage on the boards now for a game, but let's talk about this next possession. Jared Wilson Frame is 4 of 5 from 3. The rest of the team is 4 of 13. Do you try to get something for the senior?
I think it's got to be the first guy open that can make threes. You can't have anybody in there that's incapable of shooting a 3. I mean, you just can't. So that means I don't know, Brown, even Brown has hit a three. He might be somebody you would go to. I don't know about that. Xavier Johnson, Wilson Frame, those kind of guys are all possibilities. You can't really just take the ball and say we're going to take a quick two. You may not get the ball back. So my guess is they're going to go for a three. Now the question is, what does North Carolina State do? What you don't want to do is foul too quickly if that's your plan. You want one dribble, two dribbles, three dribbles, if at all possible. But I will tell you, Evan, that college players are not very good at fouling intentionally. They're afraid they're going to foul intentionally. Somebody throw up a shot,
right,
make the shot, now you go to the 4-point scheme. So it's really a tricky thing. Ball's going to be thrown in the backcourt, so it's going to take at least 2, maybe 3 seconds to get it up.
It's Johnson, Wilson, Frame, and Deere, Tony, and Brown. You wonder if they dare draw something up for Terrell Brown, who's got 2 threes today.
Well, I mean, he's a big kid, but he can shoot.
Unable to run the baseline. Into Deere. Guarded by Lockett, and he's fouled with 7.1 to go, which will send City and Deere to the line for 1-1. And Deere, 3 for 3 from the line today, but he struggled from the line throughout the season.
Well, if you want to foul intentionally, that's about as good as it can be done right there. You let them dribble into the front court, and then you get the foul from the backside. And you know, one of the interesting things now is coaches generally alert the officials, we're going to foul.
Yep. They want them to call it. 1-1 here. And Deere, coming off 15 points at Wake Forest on Tuesday, has 12 today. One of the 5 Panthers in double figures.
It's not out of the question that they would miss on purpose here.
Pittsburgh has the 1 timeout left. And Deere missed it. Rebound tipped. Bryce has it, and he's fouled by Deere with 5.5 seconds left. I'm not sure he tried to miss it.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He tried to make that.
So now a couple free throws here for Bryce can virtually end it. Although after what happened in Louisville last year with Virginia and the Cardinals and that wacky ending, never say never. CJ Bryce, 4 for 4 at the line today. He's got a team high 20 points. 1-1, and he gets the roll.
Now, would you say the percentages are on his side or on Pittsburgh's side that he missed?
Well, I think my math classes back in the day said it's a fallacy to think that because he's made the last 5 that he's due for a miss. So I'm going to say he's going to make it, but we'll see. Don't forget, Raycom has a great pair of games on Wednesday night. 8 p.m. Syracuse will be at PNC Arena. Jim Boeheim's team will take on the Wolfpack. Some of you might see the Battle of the Techs. Jose Alvarado and Georgia Tech against Ahmed Hill and Virginia Tech. Hokies will be trying to snap a 2-game losing streak. That's Wednesday night on many of these same Raycom stations. Check the ACC.com to find the game in your area. One more free throw here for CJ Bryce. If he misses it, NC State will probably foul again, right?
There'll be a quick timeout, another quick timeout.
Well, there won't be because neither team has a timeout left. Okay, all right. So that would be a mistake.
That's why we have you here, right? Correct my mistakes. Yeah, you know, they've got to get it up the court as quickly as they possibly can, but, oh, yeah, they would definitely foul. There's no question.
NC State trying to snap a 3-game losing streak, which would have been a 5-game losing streak if Braxton Beverly didn't hit a buzzer-beating 3 against Clemson 2 weeks ago.
I don't think they'll put anybody on the line if you're North Carolina State. That way you don't have to foul. Yeah, they're going to be back.
CJ Bryce can make it a 2-possession game from the line right here. You missed it. Ahead in Deere with 2 seconds. Can he get it off? Good if it goes. NC State prevails. The narrow escape from the Wolfpack, 79-76. Not sure if Kevin Keats wanted a foul, but Endear did get a decent look.
Well, he did try to foul in the backcourt. I think he actually did. They didn't call it.
That was nearly a foul on the shot, but Pittsburgh falls for the 7th straight game. Their 8th consecutive loss to NC State. You see Braxton Beverly with 17 points, including 5 threes. Performance of the game brought to you by your local Chevy dealers. Coach Odom, you told me you always get great games, and you were right. It's been a pleasure.
Well, I don't think it was a make or break for either team. I think it was a great win for them. Not a difficult loss. Both teams will live beyond today.
Final score, 79-76. The Wolfpack win it. You've been watching coverage of ACC basketball on the ACC Network, an exclusive production of Raycom Sports. So long from Pittsburgh.